Hi, I'm Anjana Bhat. I'm an associate professor in the physical therapy department. I'm also affiliated with the biomechanics and movement science program and the behavioral neuroscience division of the psychology department at the University of Delaware. And I thought I'd talk about something that is on everybody's mind right now, switching to new ways of doing research, and in my case, pediatric behavioral research in COVID times. So, when all this started in March, some of the things we all naturally went to doing is analyzing our existing data, writing our papers, perhaps conducting systematic reviews or meta-analyses um, of the literature that is, related to your field. Another approach could be analyzing big data. There are, in this day and age, a lot of big data sets available to researchers. And so if there is anything in your field that is accessible to you that you could apply for, consider applying for that. And then just changing the way you ask your research questions. So in the past, I used to do everything face to face. So we would go to the homes of the children, or the children would come to our lab, and we would interact with them, collect data as we interacted with them. But now that is not possible for quite some time, I'm assuming, given the risks associated with COVID, and also the fact that they, even though you may not affect the child, they might become asymptomatic carriers and affect other people. It might be more, risk averse or safe to not engage in those face-to-face interactions as long as possible until we have a vaccine. So if that is our approach, what else could we be doing to continue our research? So first is definitely obtaining data in other forms. So surveys, questionnaires, interviews. You need to go back into your field and look at what questionnaires are valid and useful to asking the types of questions you want to ask. Perhaps remote data collection. So previously you needed the child in the room, and you had your motion analysis system or your neuroimaging system with you, but now that's not possible. So what is available in your field that would help you still collect data by giving the device to the child, or by connecting with the child remotely on Zoom while they have this iPad tracking device or software on their laptop that they are interacting with, which you can then use in terms of collecting data. So Fitbits, stepwatches, can you come up with a remote battery tool that you could give to them and then can reconnect with them later to collect your data? These are all things to think about. And then the last approach that we are going to take for our INBRI funded project is online web-based data collections. So this project is funded for the next 2 years. It's a pilot RCT. It was a in-person pilot RCT, and it involved 3 groups: creative movement, general exercise versus seated play, to see what the value of creative movement is compared to these other 2 control groups. And for the time frame when this will happen, we won't have face-to-face contact with children for quite some time. And so we decided to go the online route. And so with this, the main type of data that we always collected was video data. And so we need a third person view. So whether you're working with infants or children or adolescents, you always need that third person view. The camera needs to look into the room at the individual to gather data. And so, with everything moving to a Zoom or an online format, you still have the ability to do this, to collect video data, audio data, and perhaps some sort of computer interaction data. So we collect a lot of data through E-prime experiments. These are either tests of synchrony or executive functioning, and we will deliver it through a computer interface, and we will record the child's response through Zoom. So we haven't piloted all of it yet. We are in the process of doing that, but we think it should work. And these companies like ePrime are developing experiments that could be delivered in the home and then recorded online. What is challenging to collect still is imaging data, motion data that requires softwares that are advanced because you can't be in the room to collect that. And then what is known in the literature is that, first of all, what is known in the literature is very limited. I could find only 3 studies that compared video conferencing to face-to-face interactions and the validity of such measures. So I think that research is going to burgeon in the next few years. But there are tests of IQ, so the Wechsler Intelligence Scale, tests of aphasia that involve either speech or imitative movements, and then also fine motor skills. So anything that is paper-based that the child draws on, that you can then collect from the parent. All of these have been tested, and validity has been reported as being the same between a video conferencing interaction and a personal face-to-face interaction. So that is good to know, but I'm hoping this literature will increase over the next few years. So what is our plan? We plan on mailing all our testing and training kits, the supplies, as much as possible. If we can use home-based supplies, we'll do that. But for testing, we need the items to be standardized. So we will mail the kits to the parents. We'll set up a time with the parent and prep the parent. Because one important component from the literature that is already out there says that you need a trained person in the room while you're doing this through video conferencing. So the parent will be our confederate because they are the only ones who can be with the child right now. And then we will set up a Zoom meeting with an ID and a password to keep the data protected. We will assent the child and parent in the session and then inform them about the recording. We plan to pin the video. You can pin the video so that you only record the video of interest, or we might record a dual view if you want to look at synchrony, that is movement of the child with somebody else in the session. And then we'll record all of this on our computer so we are able to protect the data. So that's the plan. I don't know how this will go. Some final thoughts on challenges will be, will there be less interest in participating because a lot of work will now be done through the parent? We'll find out, I guess. Will there be major internet connection issues, data quality issues? Again, that's something to look for. And then will there be a less engagement in that we are not physically present with the child, we are remotely interacting with them? Will that lead to less engagement? Will we see the same level of positive motor and social effects we've seen in past studies where we were actually able to interact with the child face to face? All of that remains to be seen. But clearly the positives from this will be that the literature on telehealth will just explode, I think, in the next couple years. And then we will ourselves diversify our research portfolio. We'll start thinking of new ways of doing research. And so all of those can't be bad things. Thank you.